Mayor, the meeting is now being recorded.
The meeting will now convene at 6:02 p.m. City Attorney, please provide the closed session report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council.
The City Council is now back in open session, having met in closed session to discuss the 3 items listed on the agenda. Staff provided a report for both, but for all 3 items, but no reportable action was taken. This concludes my report. Thank you. If there's no objection by City Council, I now adjourn the closed session City Council meeting at 6:02 p.m.
Mayor, I'm sorry for interrupting, but for the record, I just wanted to announce that Councilmember Pulido, since she did not participate in closed session, and if there's no objection with the council, that the Councilmember Pulido be excused.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the Monday, August 28, 2023, 6 p.m. regular joint meeting of the Bell Garden City Council and Successor Agency to the Community Development Commission. The meeting will now come to order at 6:03 p.m. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting live online through the city's website as noted on the agenda. If any of the members should have a conflict of interest, please announce any item you are recusing from due to conflict of interest prior to the item being heard. Tonight's invocation will be given by Minister Dano Anguñano. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Good evening and thank you. Madam Mayor, distinguished City Council, Police Chief, and City staff, let us pray and remember that as we pray, we come into God's presence. Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come before you in this evening. First of all, we thank you for all of your goodness. We thank you for our mayor, our city council, our police and fire departments, and all city staff for making Bell Gardens a better and safer place. We also pray for our leaders of the state and our nation. I pray that your knowledge and wisdom be with the leaders in this room so they may have the guidance in all matters discussed in this evening. Your word says in Proverbs 11:14, where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. We thank you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Mike O'Kelly.
We riot.
City Clerk, please call roll of the members of the City Council and Successor Agency.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the Council and Successor Agency, Barcena.
Present.
Councilmember Gomez.
Present.
Councilmember Pulido. If there's no objection with the council for excusing her absence if she is not able to participate in the meeting. Mayor Pro Tem Chavez.
Present.
And Mayor Sanchez.
Present. We will now move to presentations. City Manager, please introduce the presentations.
Thank you, Mayor. We have two presentations tonight. The first one is a proclamation honoring September as Deaf Awareness Month. And then the second one is a climate emergency presentation. At this time, it'd be up to the mayor to do the proclamations. Thank you.
A proclamation in honor of Deaf Awareness Month. Whereas Deaf Awareness Week was first celebrated by the World Federation of the Deaf in 1958. This event is also known as International Week of Deaf, commemorating the first Congress of the World Federation of the Deaf, which took place in September 1951. And whereas the City of Bell Gardens benefits from the many contributions of deaf, blind, and hard of hearing residents throughout the city and the state of California. Whereas it is important to ensure that the deaf, blind, and hard of hearing individuals have equal access to the many benefits and opportunities available to hearing individuals to live, work, play, and communicate in Bell Gardens. And whereas the purpose of Death Awareness Month is to increase public awareness of the issues and the culture of people who are deaf and to promote equal access and information and services for deaf individuals, to educate the public about misconceptions of being deaf. It is also an opportunity to learn about the types of educational programs, support services, and resources available to deaf people, as well as to individuals who are deaf, blind, or hard of hearing. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Francis Daniel Sanchez, Mayor of City of Bell Gardens, within the City Council, do hereby proclaim September 2023 as Deaf Awareness Month and encourage all citizens, businesses, public, and private agencies to join in observing the month in honor of persons who are deaf, blind, and hard of hearing. Proclaim this 28th day of August 2023.
Mayor, on the next presentation is the climate emergency presentation. If it pleases the mayor, we'd allow the Mayor Pro Tem to announce the presenters.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that, Mayor. Thank you, City Manager. Today we'll be talking about a climate emergency presentation. I'd like to introduce Michelle Piñon with Stand.Earth or Safe Cities, and then also Jocelyn Del Real from East Yards Communities for Environmental Justice. I think there's a present. There it is. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction. Esteemed council members, when you grow up in Bell Gardens, like I did, like I know most of you did, you grow up with an innate felt sense of what injustice feels like. It's perceptible in our air, thick and dense with smog from the countless diesel engines idling on the 710. It's perceptible in our feet. I myself remember vividly feeling the soles of my swamp meat huaraches melting while walking down Jaboneria. And it's perceptible in our homes. We're suspiciously always the first to receive outage notices during oppressive summer heat waves. But because we're a hardy, resilient kind of people, we find ways to cope. We stuff our freezers with discount off-brand Otter Pops from Food for Less. We cluster together in the coolest parts of our homes during the warmest parts of the day, with all our chafita fans blowing in the same direction. In my own case, we scrape together $1 here, $1 there to finally buy a car with functional AC. But what are we supposed to do when the bounds of our resilience are tested? Scientists across the globe, across the political spectrum, agree that the climate crisis is real and that it will usher in erratic, extreme weather events. So, council members, I stand before you to ask, what will we do when the unrelenting heat waves extend from 3 days to 2 weeks? When we suddenly have to grapple with tropical storms, like we did just 2 weeks ago? What will we do when those most vulnerable among us, our aging parents, our asthmatic children, our own very human bodies, can no longer keep up? This is an emergency and we need to treat it as such. I stand here today as a professional who's spent the last decade of my life working in this field. And I know through this professional capacity that we're approaching a tipping point, but we still have time. And we have the policy tools that will enable us to protect what we cherish the most: our communities, our homes, our health, our shared planet. Already, cities across the US are experimenting with new paths forward, new models for city designs that emphasize our health and a collective stewardship of our planet. Council members, we have an opportunity to break the decade-long pattern of Bell Gardens being the last to access new technologies, new funding, and new resources. I came today prepared with what is called the Climate Emergency Kit, and it includes some policy information. I will go ahead and kind of leave this over here, and y'all can get it to the council members. Here's our proposition. The first is for Bell Gardens to become a safe city by adopting a climate emergency resolution that names our current dependence on fossil fuels as the primary driver of climate change. Safe cities already exist across North of America. We got places in the US as well as Canada. SAFE is an acronym for Standing Against Fossil Fuel Expansion and is a project of Stand.Earth. The program presents a proactive strategy for stopping fossil fuel expansion and phasing out fossil fuels using the authority of local governments, including land use codes, building codes, zoning authority, and more. A key hallmark of safe cities is the explicit naming of fossil fuels as the problem and stopping fossil fuel expansion as the essential part of the clean energy transition. This direct approach is crucial for tackling the climate emergency and ensuring the health and well-being of our communities. Otherwise, new pipelines, new factories, new gas hookups, new gas stations, new oil and gas mega projects will continue to undermine municipal level climate action. In the packet presented to you, you'll find a full list of existing policies that qualify as safe policies. I included some information that includes specific details about how many other cities are already doing this work. It's noteworthy that Los Angeles City has already done quite a bit of these, and so there is leadership in the area that we can look to. The second proposition is that the aforementioned Bell Gardens Climate Emergency Resolution mirrors the work of other municipalities with similar demographics, namely the Santa Ana Climate Emergency Declaration that was passed in September of 2021. Santa Ana's resolution notably names the twin city crises of climate change and historic environmental pollution. The Santa Ana resolution also features an endorsement of the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty. This treaty initiative is a global effort to foster international cooperation to accelerate a transition to clean energy for everyone, and the expansion of coal, oil, and gas, and equitably phase out existing production in keeping with what science shows is needed to address the climate crisis. Current endorsers of the treaty include major cities, Los Angeles, Barcelona, Vancouver, and Sydney, as well as over 100 Nobel laureates. If you look at these slides, you'll see a few of the key passages from the Santa Ana resolution that could help us model one for Bell Gardens. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, we ask that the final text of the resolution reflects the long-standing leadership of environmental justice groups born in this area, most notably ECR's Community for Environmental Justice. We also ask that it incorporates the most recent finding of various community engagement processes, including the Environmental Justice Survey commissioned by the city. To speak to these items, I invite Jocelyn Del Real of ECRs to the podium.
Thank you. Good evening, council members and staff. My name is Jocelyn Del Real. I am an organizer for East Yard Communities for Environmental Justice. But before I am an organizer, I am a lifelong resident of the city of Bell Gardens. And my educational background is centered around the environment, whether it's the built environment, seeing the impacts of our built environment, but also seeing the possibilities, right, for and changes needed for our environment to thrive, and by extension for us to thrive as a community. But despite all of this, I always say that I learn the most on the ground and from the community. I'm sure all of us have seen how bad the air quality is, the battle for water, even at the local level, the increase in extreme heat days like today, and other intersectional issues like housing, immigration issues, food access, among others. We also see fossil fuel infrastructure that's also booming at our expense, from refineries to storage, which we can see down Garfield, the Arco tanks, to transport and usage. I myself, I live in close proximity to the 710 corridor, which sees some of the nation's highest volume of diesel pollution in the country. And this is also true for many folks that also live in the city of Bell Gardens, close to the 710. And there's undoubtedly health impacts that come with these disproportionate levels of pollution. At the local level, we have the ability to do so much more. The efforts that BG has made to move forward are not unnoticed, as we see the reimagination of the green space at the golf course, the resilience center that's being planned, the EJ survey, the farmers market. However, there is so much more in the realm of possibility to make BG resilient for years to come. And for example, there's opportunities to expand on the vision for the EJ element. I had a chance to look at the survey, and I believe we could do so much more with it. For example, making some intentional space for community members to share their vision and concerns beyond the survey. And I want to express support in passing a resolution, but also making a longstanding commitment and creating an environmental commission for the city. There are cities that already have established an environmental commission like Monterey Park, Torrance, Long Beach, Pasadena. And there are so many benefits to this. We could acknowledge the importance of protecting the land, the air, the water, but also build self-determination from within our communities. So through a commission, we can dedicate capacity to ensure that the EJ element that is required by law is being upheld. We can also bring more green spaces, access to food, projects relating to water, any metro-related projects, LA River-related projects, resilience centers, climate adaptation plans, emergency plans, and just overall accountability for action regarding the climate. And this can also be an avenue for staff, right, to find funding opportunities, to have some support to find funding opportunities, and also an opportunity to engage more youth, to be active participants in decisions that affect their future. I urge you all to put in motion a resolution that acknowledges the harms created by fossil fuels, a resolution that models the needs of the community and uplifts self-determination in the face of climate change. And also a resolution that fosters more community engagement in this process, because this is something that affects us now and the future generations. I am open and enthusiastic to offer any support to continue these conversations, and I really do hope that we can get something of this kind movement going, because it's very necessary. Thank you for your time. I'll pass it back to Michelle. The audience is so supportive. In closing, I want to say this. I recognize fully that this work, this energy transition, will be difficult, that it will require a cultural reset and a financial investment in our future. Unfortunately, we don't have a track record of planning on a long horizon, but I choose nonetheless to be optimistic because it's in my blood, and I think it's in the blood of anybody who grows up here. So many of us here are descendants of migration, of generational hardship, of deep inequity. Yet we endure, we continue, we push ahead because we believe that something different is possible. So today I ask that you be bold, that you dare to imagine a future where we have met the challenge, grown from it, and designed a safer Bell Gardens that actually feels warmer to live in. Warmer in a nice way, not in a climate way. I invite you to see your citizens, your neighbors, your residents as a resource. We are open to continuing this conversation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. I do want to maybe open it up for questions if any of my colleagues want to maybe have any questions about this, the toolkit itself. But ultimately, thank you. As far as me and my remarks, just want to say I appreciate you being here and sharing, the organization and safe cities. I think it's a great opportunity for a city like ours to look into long-term investments, right? When we talk about clean energy, innovation, an opportunity for the youth to get involved, especially around environmental issues. I do have other comments, but I do want to open it up to my colleagues if they have any words that they want to share.
I want to thank you as well for being here. And I just was wondering, do you have any other cities within Southeast LA that have committed to doing the resolution already?
We do not, which is part of the reason that I'm so excited about Bell Gardens being the lead, because I feel a little competitiveness with the other ones in Southeast LA, and I think we could be the first.
I don't know if my microphone's working. Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for coming out here and advocating for environmental justice. And I'd like to set up a meeting. We've had resolutions in the past supporting environmental justice. For example, we had a resolution that was supporting a carbon dividend act. It was part of the Citizen Climate Lobby. That was about a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm always open to dialogue especially with residents. I know some of your colleagues that are here today are Bell Gardens residents. So I always appreciate the fact that we have some active people in our community. So feel free to reach out to me directly and I'll make myself available for a meeting. I would love it if you guys met the Citizen Climate Lobby if you don't already know them. But I feel like maybe we can work together to get something going. So I'm all for it. And thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And I will say, as part of Safe Cities, we do have a network of elected officials that provides resources between elected officials. If there's a little bit of like, hey, we started this process, but we're not sure what the next policy step is. And yeah, I'm eager to continue that conversation and to loop in Citizens Climate Lobby.
Thank you so much.
Hello, thank you so much for your presentation. And yes, I do like the idea of an environmental commission. I think that the fact that we're so close to the freeway, that we're, one of the main arteries from the port to everywhere else. So sensitive. We're definitely impacted by all of that. So I do like the idea of an environmental commission, and I'm happy to speak with you about that as well.
Ultimately, thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all being here. Thank you to Jocelyn also for presenting on the work that East Yards has done in the past. I think that as a council, as a city, you know, really when we look at our communities makeup, you know, majority renters, majority minority, you know, growing up in the community, right? Having the 710 freeway, there's a reason why we have this corridor here. We provide 60% of the goods to the nation or more so. But yet, I mean, we're breathing some of the most polluted, if not the most polluted air in the nation, right? So I think that it's very systematic, and I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. So I really appreciate y'all being here. In the future, I have a question for the city manager. I noticed that we do have an environmental justice survey out there at the moment. I think that it's due on September 15th or something and coming up. Do we have an idea by when we can maybe see that data and you know, it either be presented or how we're going to go about using that data that we have from our constituents?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'll turn it over to our Community Development Director, Gus Romo. His office has been leading that survey.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Mayor Pro Tem Chavez and Mayor and Council, the environmental justice element has been underway for the last 3 months or so. There is an environmental justice survey that will end on August 31st. So I would promote this to everybody. We put it on our social media and our website so that the residents and the business owners out there and also nonprofits can complete that survey. We're hoping to have a complete environmental justice element to the Planning Commission before the end of the year, and then to the council as well right after.
Thank you so much for that, Gus. Thank you, City Manager. Thank you again, Michelle. Really appreciate it. I say we all give them a round of applause for that presentation. Thanks.
We will now move to public participation for items not listed on the agenda. Public participation is now open. City Clerk, please announce the instructions for public participation.
Thank you, Mayor. The members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items not listed on the council or successor agency joint agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments to the members of the City Council and successor agency. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, subject to an overall 30-minute period unless announced otherwise. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through Zoom may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or the microphone icon when instructed. We will first hear from the speakers that are in person. We did receive one written comment that was distributed to the council, and it's part of our public record. And it was also addressed with the staff, city staff. And with that,
John Cruikshank.
Hi, my name is John Cruikshank. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for having me tonight. So I'm currently the Mayor Pro Tem in Rancho Palos Verdes, and I came here tonight to announce that I'm running for Los Angeles County Supervisor. I'm a civil engineer by trade, and I'm a third-generation Los Angeles County resident. And the reason I'm here is because there's many issues in our county that are big issues that need to be resolved, and I want to help do that. Our issues are nonpartisan, and I feel that there's 4 issues that need to be focused on. As a civil engineer, infrastructure is hugely important. Of course, public safety, homelessness, and economic empowerment. And I think all 4 work together. As a business owner, I know how hard it is for business owners and to actually run their business. I want to find ways to reduce inflation and to help take the constraints off our local businesses. Public safety is hugely important with the protection of our residents. We all want to be able to go to our local parks and be able to feel safe. I'm a huge proponent of neighborhood watch programs. Of course, our local police departments, and in our city, we use both the sheriff and Los Angeles County Fire. As an engineer, I found it interesting, the last comments from the speakers in regards to the amount of infrastructure issues and the environmental issues you have. One of the ideas that I want to pursue is to be able to take the cargo from the ports and use a Hyperloop program to be able to put the cargo containers underground and out to the Inland Empire, taking all truck traffic off the 710 freeway and thus reducing traffic and pollution greatly. I also want to emphasize that open space is hugely important to our communities. In the city of Rancho Palos Verdes, we have 1,500 acres of open space. And we did that slowly by buying land. And now we have a massive amount of trails and open space for our residents. Finally, I want to reduce homelessness through conservatorships and mainly through reducing inflation. And also I want to fight the never-ending utility rate increases that we've been receiving over the last decade or so. So with that, I welcome you having me here tonight. I know how hard your job is. I just wanted to say hello and let you know that local control is where it's at. It's important. As a supervisor, I would definitely support all of our cities to do the things they want to pursue in their individual pursuits. And also you can find me on KBC radio on Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. Once again, my name is John Cruikshank, and I welcome any of you contacting me if you want to talk about anything. Thank you so much.
Bruce A. Crow.
All right. Just some news about the pot shops that most of you tried to sneak in against your residents' wishes. Whatever is in it for you, that remains to be seen. However, a Democrat Party leader in Orange County named Melahat Rafai was the Democrat Party chairman from Anaheim, and she pled guilty to corruption, bribery, and she was a cannabis consultant also. And now in Downey, where I'm from, where I live currently, we have a new community development representative from Anaheim. Kind of funny how they're all scattering in Anaheim right now because they're under investigation and they're all pleading guilty to their corruption and their bribery, and they're all Democrats. The key thing with this Miss Rafai also is in Downey, they were all connected. And that's where we have the concern about you wanting to shuffle all the marijuana pot shops over here, because you had a friend in Catherine Alvarez, who was a big marijuana supporter, who was under investigation from the FBI, as well as Sean Ashton. Now we had Spiker Rendon wearing a wire and had lunch with those two people. And that's why Sean Ashton resigned over there. And that investigation is still ongoing. And we've had a lot of people resign over in Downey because of this issue. And I think the recall result of Catherine Alvarez being recalled 90-10 should serve a good warning that we don't want your pot coming from Montebello to Commerce to Bell Gardens and to Downey. We don't want it. Pot shops do not make money like they promise to do. They increase crime. Crime is already on the rise, and the intensity of it is unbelievable as well. The police will be able to tell you that. But anyway, the corruption is ongoing, and we want to just let you know, Spiker Rendon was the one who doing the FBI investigation, and we're aware of it. We are aware of it. And as for the Citizens Climate Lobby, you'll never see a bigger bunch of climate change lunatics in your life than that group there. Thank you.
Veronica Soto.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, Veronica Soto, longtime resident of Bell Gardens. My family has been here since 1962. I have not addressed this body in years, probably about 2 decades. And the thing that brings me here today is the out of control street vending. I know the California legislature made it legal for people to go ahead and bring out their wares and their food out on the streets, but it's really causing havoc. You have street vendors that are operating at 1:30 in the morning, yet legitimate businesses, because of, the planning commission process, are only allowed to have their doors open maybe till 9 o'clock, maybe 8 o'clock. The out of control street vending is affecting our local legitimate businesses. Businesses that were resilient during COVID. Businesses that during COVID had to pay their rent, that paid their employees, paid their taxes, paid insurance, and they did all that, and they're still here. But a lot of them are now struggling to pay their rent, struggling to pay their overhead, and struggling to pay their payroll. Because here in Bell Gardens, people have a limited amount of discretionary income. And so when families decide they want to go out and eat, they're going to make choices as to where they eat, whether it's Jack in a Box, whether it's Tacos Baja, whether it's Picante, whether it's Eva's, wherever it is, there's a certain amount of discretionary income. And so now you allowed all these street vendors to basically sell all over the city, but predominantly on Florence, now on Eastern. And so what's happening is that families and people are spending their money there instead of spending it on the businesses that are creating local jobs, where people are earning their salaries by working at local businesses. You are hurting our local residents who are employees of our local businesses by not controlling the out of control street vending. I am a pro-capitalist. I believe that if you're out there, you can go ahead and make money, but there has to be controls. There's no health oversight. There's no oversight on anything, on any type of regulation as to what they do, when they do it, how they do it. But yet businesses that come here through the planning commission process go through a process. They have to have everything in place. You, the city, us as a resident, we are collecting less taxes because sales are down. And when sales are down, what happens? We have less services, less rec and parks, less police and fire. That's one of the greatest things about Bell Gardens, that we have our own police department. It's something I came and fought for like 25 years ago when they wanted to bring the sheriffs over. And I was just a kid. And I said, no way, I'm going to support our local police department. So really, I just come here to basically generate awareness that, hey, it's great for people to go ahead and make a living, but they should not make a living at the expense of other people's lives, especially those businesses that have been instrumental in this city for 20, 30, and in some.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Your time is up, ma'am.
Ma'am, you're only allowed 3 minutes for public speaking. Your time is up. Thank you for your time. Next speaker, Mayor.
Do we have any Zoom comments, City Clerk?
No, we do not, and no one virtually is raising their hands.
If there's no objection by the members of the City Council Successor Agency, I will now close public participation for non-agenda items. Public participation is now open for items listed on the City Council Successor Agency Joint Agenda. City Clerk, please announce the instructions for public participation.
Thank you. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items listed on the City Council Successor Agency Joint Agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments to the members of the council and successor agency. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through Zoom may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or microphone icon when instructed. We'll begin to hear from the members of the public that are physically present in the council chamber, and we did not receive any written comments.
Bruce A. Crow.
As in the words of Pauly Shore, I'm back. Okay, I grew up in Bell Gardens. Long time ago, it was a town of 27 churches and 27 bars. It was like reading Steinbeck, you know, I am your native son. Just wanted to throw that out there. I want to talk about number 10, since we're talking about climate and the phony climate change issue. There is no emergency. And if these people who are nothing but social Darwinists want to capture the free market capitalism to install their socialism and their fascism over the middle class, then we need to have this discussion. It's okay to have that, because that's all they are. They have absolutely no numbers. They don't even bring up ESG. They don't bring up SDG. They haven't brought up anything about LEED certification. Because like everybody here, and even in the Planning Commission, nobody does any research on these things. But number 10 tells us about the approval of the sponsorship with the Conservation Corps for the trees. Now, if we want to cut back our carbon dioxide, do you know that trees give off carbon dioxide at night? Imagine that. It's called respiration. They give off oxygen during the day and carbon at night. And we want to eliminate carbon dioxide any way we can, no matter what we got to do it. Of course, depopulation is another issue too, but I'm not sure you want to bring these trees in here. If they're going to spew carbon, you got to get rid of carbon, just like South Africa has reached their goals early. How's it going for them over there? What do they have? Do they have any water? Do they have any electricity during the day? Maybe 3 hours out of the day? Well, kill the white farmers. That's all you got to do over there. That'll take care of everything, right? How about Sri Lanka? They bought into all this stuff. And now these same people are telling us that rice is a pollutant. It's destroying the planet. Can you imagine that? Rice is destroying the planet. But now we got to take out the nitrogen too, so the farmers can't spread fertilizer and grow food. So we're going to cut out all the food too for human beings. Humans are made of carbon. And if you have too many human beings, you got to cut them out. So you need to come forward and tell us, who do you want to get rid of first? You guys are all good with classifications of people. Let's get rid of the blacks first. How about the Mexicans? Maybe just the white people. They're all carbon. You're all human beings, and they want to get rid of you. Thanks.
Do we have any virtual speakers, City Clerk?
No, Mayor, we don't have anyone raising their hands.
If there's no objection by the members, I will close public participation. City Manager, will you please give your report?
Yes, thanks again, Mayor. Just want to go back a couple weeks and mention we had another round of rent stabilization workshops for property owners. And then the day after the property owners, we had one for tenants. And I also believe there are 2 community groups that are going to be holding a housing workshop. I don't know if they've announced it yet, but in September and in city space. So we think, we're putting information out there, and then community groups are free to also put information out there and, help tenants and property owners understand our ordinance from their perspective as well. I want to thank the residents, businesses, the stakeholders of Bell Gardens, the council, the staff for the response to the hurricane that became Tropical Storm Hillary. So we had hundreds of sandbags and sand that were provided by the Public Works Department, the Fire Department. Public Works saw that there was a need, came back in on Saturday and opened up the yard, gave away all the sand, went and got more sand, and then gave all that away until we had no more sandbags. Also thanks to the Police Department, Recreation Community Services, the administrative staff, Hyla Soto, for monitoring the storm starting Wednesday or Thursday on a regular basis and keeping everybody updated, informed, and being ready in case we had intersections that were flooded or limbs that were down, power lines down, things of that nature. Luckily, when it was all said and done, I think we got about 2.5 to 3 inches of rain. We lost a few limbs here and there throughout the city, nothing that caused any damage, injuries, or to power poles or people or cars or anything. We didn't lose any trees at the parks this time around, even with the wind. So we've experienced some of that the last few years with the bomb cyclone and atmospheric rivers and things like that. So I think we came out really good. So thanks everybody for all the effort, and it was a good exercise for the city as well. And I think we came out good. Luckily, Mother Nature was on our side on that one. Also want to thank the police department. They still had their bike rodeo that Saturday, just before the storm was coming in. The week after that, we had a financial literacy workshop on cybersecurity and fraud prevention. We've been having those at Veterans Park. Want to mention we've got heat going on today, 95, 98 degrees here in Bell Gardens. Tomorrow looks like we're forecast for 93 to 95. So we have our cooling center open at Veterans Park at Ross Hall. So if anybody needs to escape the heat and come into an air-conditioned location and just hang out and use Wi-Fi, Veterans Park, Ross Hall is the place to do that. Like I said, we'll be open again tomorrow, and then we're watching the forecast for Wednesday, so possibly open then as well. Want to mention on September 2nd, we have a catalytic converter etching event. The police department's holding that in City Hall parking lot. You don't need a reservation, but you do need to be a Bell Gardens resident. That's from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. And the last thing I just want to mention is next Monday we'll be celebrating Labor Day. It's an annual celebration of the workers that have and continue to make improvements towards our shared strength, prosperity, and well-being, and just acknowledge the majority of our employees are in labor associations, and those that aren't, some of our part-timers, that I think that I would recognize that the council has done a lot in the time that I've been here to support making sure that they're paid fairly and treated fairly. So with that, I thank you, Mayor.
We will now move to the consent calendar. Does any member of this council successor agency wish to pull an item for separate discussion? If there are no further questions or no one wants to pull an item, I will now call for a motion to approve item number 1 through 10 of the consent calendar. May I have a motion?
Move.
May I get a second?
A second.
We have a motion by Barson and a second by Gomez. City Clerk, please conduct a roll call vote.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the council and successor agency, Barcina,
Yes.
Councilmember Gomez, Mayor Pro Tem Chavez,
Yes.
and Mayor Sanchez.
Yes. City Manager, will you please announce discussion item 11?
Yes, thanks again, Mayor. It's staff's recommendation that the council review the commission's appointments list and by motion remove commissioners and or make appointments to the posted vacancies. Thank you, Mayor.
I make a motion to remove Gustavo Mendez from the Education Commission. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion by Sanchez, second by Gomez. City Clerk, please conduct the roll call vote.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the council and successor agency, Barcina,
Yes.
Councilmember Gomez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez,
Yes.
and Mayor Sanchez.
Yes. Are there any more motions?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Gustavo Mendez to the Planning Commission. Can I get a second?
Second that.
Motion by Gomez, second by Barcina. City Clerk, can you conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the council and successor agency, Barcina,
Yes.
Councilmember Gomez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez,
Yes.
and Mayor Sanchez.
Yes. Any other changes to the local commission appointment list? Okay. City Manager, can you please announce discussion item 12?
Yes, thanks again, Mayor. This is an item that was requested to be brought to the last council meeting. It didn't make it onto the agenda. and it is now being brought forth on this agenda. It's for the appointment of council members to serve on the Bell Gardens Aquatic Center Construction Project Ad Hoc Committee. That ad hoc committee previously included Councilmember Barcena and former Councilmember Alejandra Cortez. Upon her resignation, that additional seat had become vacant on the ad hoc committee. So it's staff's recommendation that the city council appoint a new member to this ad hoc. And I just before asking council to follow that recommendation, just make note that the project's starting to pick up a lot of steam and it is moving very quickly. Our RFP for general contractors, for pre-qualification of general contractors, opened last week, I think on Thursday, where selections for general contractor pre-qualified vendors would be made in about 4 or 5 weeks from now, and then selections will be made for work to be started. So things are moving very quickly. Thank you, Mayor.
Does any member of the council have any questions or comments? I make a motion to, can I get a motion to appoint a new member to the ad hoc committee?
Yes, I'll move to appoint the mayor as a member of the ad hoc committee.
Can I get a second?
Second that.
City clerk, please conduct a roll call vote.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the council and successor agency, Barcena,
Yes.
Councilmember Gomez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez.
Yes.
And Mayor Sanchez.
Yes. We'll now move to member comments, starting with Councilmember Barcena.
You know, I'm still not used to being the first one providing comments at the end, but thanks everyone for all the work that you're doing. I'm looking forward to putting out updates in regards to our aquatics efforts. It is a very hot topic and I want to make sure that the whole council is aware of it. Residents go up to me, they ask me about the pool. It has been many years. I worry about it. I care about it. One of the main reasons that I'm here is because I manage that pool most of my life. So it's good to hear that we're moving forward at full steam, as the city manager said, but I'd love to see a little bit more coverage. And that's something that we have given direction from the ad hoc committee, and we want to see more of it. So thank you for all your work. Thank you for all your effort. And I'm excited to get this project going and done ASAP. And that's all my comments. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Gomez.
I wanted to thank City Manager Mike because, well, City Manager Kelly, I apologize. I'm still learning the protocols here. But I do want to thank him because over the weekend with the storm and everything that was coming in, you know, it was very scary for a lot of people, I think, you know, not knowing what to expect, but thank you for all of the updates. So I appreciate all the work you guys did over the weekend. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez.
Thank you so much for it's been a while since we had a meeting that ended within 50 minutes. It's been a minute. Just want to touch on a couple things. Since our last meeting, we had a design concepts meeting held at Veterans Park, I think back in August 17th. We had a couple of residents there that were there was a workshop about the golf course, potential different options that we have in terms of if we wanted to move forward to see different things happening at the golf course, right? So I really want to take the time and acknowledge the organization that's doing a lot of this legwork when it comes to putting forward the just a simple fact that the projects. They had like 3 different bulletins and each of them had like little pop-up trees and, you know, they had their own little, really, it took a lot of design. It really felt like a school project that they all went out and did. So I just, it's so tedious and I just really appreciate them for doing that. And a lot of good feedback that we got from a lot of residents that were there. So that was good. I know the city manager already touched on it, but I do want to echo our next meeting. Next time next Monday, it'll be Labor Day. So want to make sure that every one of our workers here in the city, thank you for all the service that you do, services that you provide. It does not go unseen. Without you all, we wouldn't be able to do all these projects, and we wouldn't be able to provide the services that we have here now. Next, on the second week of September, we have a couple of meetings from the Neighborhood Watch. I know that we're gonna have one at the Neighborhood Youth Center on the 6th of September, and I think there's gonna be a Business Watch meeting on September 7th here at City Hall. And then aside from that, want to just acknowledge the organizations that were here to speak to us, the climate emergency resolution that was being put forward to us, the environmental commission idea, and overall just incorporating the environmental justice survey data. So again, thank you so much, Safe Cities, Stand Earth, and ECR Communities for Environmental Justice. I look forward to in the future putting forward the resolution once we have all that data of the environmental justice survey, and then being that first city within our communities of Sela to put forward a climate emergency resolution, and hopefully maybe even in the future a climate action plan, right? So again, thank you all, appreciate the meeting, and that's it for my comments. Thanks.
I want to echo what city manager already said, and a lot of my staff. I want to thank all the staff that really worked hard for the hurricane that ended up being a tropical storm. I know that we were overly prepared, but I'd rather be overly prepared than underprepared. And I know that it was a lot of extra hours that a lot of the staff put in. So I'm very grateful that everybody, put in the time, the effort, and collaborated to do that. So I want to thank you so much. I do want to circle back to the sidewalk street vending issue. I know that I've been addressed by certain business owners here in our city, and I want to see what next steps we need to take to get the health department involved, and also to get our police, Bell Gardens Police Department involved if the health department needs their support for that. I do want to be able to see, because I know that the street vendors have been cited already. We do have, our code enforcement going out there, but obviously that's not enough. And so I want to see what the next steps are, so if we can put that on the agenda for next time. I also want to thank everybody once again, and also happy Labor Day, especially to all of our employees, because without you guys, especially the ones that are in labor unions and things of that nature, we cannot do half of the things without you guys. So have a great night and thank you. If there's no objection by the members, I will now adjourn the City Council Successor Agency joint meeting at 6:54 p.m. Have a good night.